Hey there, fans of fantastic films. I am Bill from Groovy Doom and fanzine Drive-In Asylum. Today we're going to look at some vintage newsprint ads for one of my favorite films of all time, 1973 psychological horror freakout, Pigs. In 1973, veteran character actor Mark Lawrence already had over 200 screen roles, including several directorial credits. His first theatrical project as director and producer was 1965's Nightmare in the Sun. This time around, he decided to make a movie that might turn a bigger profit, a horror movie. Together with his wife, Fania Foss Lawrence, he wrote a script about a young woman on the run. Her name is Lynn, and she comes to a diner in the middle of nowhere run by a very strange man named Zambrini, played by Mark Lawrence. Zambrini likes to feed corpses to his pen of pigs that he keeps behind the diner. But Lynn has a secret of her own. She's an escapee from a mental institution who likes to murder men who remind her of her abusive father. Mark Lawrence offered the role to his real-life daughter, Toni Lawrence, and one of the most unique things about this movie is their on-screen relationship. These two characters both have a dark secret, and each one of them could be portrayed as the film's villain, but there's also something very touching about their story as well. Also appearing in the film is Jesse Vendt, who plays a not very bright sheriff, and Jim Antonio, another familiar character actor who plays a man from the mental institution who rather unwisely tries to get Lynn to go back with him. So let's look at some ads, shall we? As you will soon see, this movie has so many titles it's hard to keep track. The working script was titled Menu for Murder, and the title that's on the print recently resurrected by Vinegar Syndrome is The 13th Pig. Now, despite my best efforts, I've never been able to find it playing under that title anywhere. It was released theatrically as simply Pigs on Wednesday, May 23rd, 1973 in Detroit, Michigan. This is the earliest I could find it playing anywhere, and the ad does claim to be the world premiere, so we'll just go with that. If you look carefully at the bottom of the ad, you can see that ladies got some free bacon because it was Ladies' Day. How very kind of them. I wonder what they did with it while they were watching the movie. In true exploitation film fashion, this was marketed as a movie that it really is not, and that's an eco-horror film, a subgenre that was starting to come into its own in the early 70s, with movies like Stanley, Willard, Ben, and Frogs. Now, here's a lineup that is a dream come true. The Day That Nature Strikes Back. I think it's hilarious that they put the animals on this bill, which has nothing to do with killer animals at all. It's a Western. But you can see it on the lineup with a bunch of other eco-horror films. Pigs really is not an eco-horror film, as you know if you've ever seen it. Now, in late 1973, Mark Lawrence sold the film to a producer named William Rowland, and he devised a completely different marketing campaign for this movie. He retitled it The Secret of Lynn Hart, which is very strange because Lynn's name in the movie is not Hart, it's Webster. But never mind that. This campaign is probably the most honest that the film ever had because, as you can see in the ad here, Lynn is about to stab Jesse Vendt with a big pair of scissors. Rowland tried the film out like this in Tucson, Arizona in December of '73, but then something really amazing happened. The Exorcist. Rowland decided that since The Exorcist was raking it in at the box office, this movie could too if it was just about demonic possession. And the fact that it's not about demonic possession did not stop him at all. He had an additional 3-minute prologue film that showed an exorcism being performed by a priest on Lynn. After an initial run in York, Pennsylvania in May of '74, this new version of the movie was retitled Lynn Hart, The Strange Love Exorcist, or simply Love Exorcist in a lot of territories. Now, it's been said that Mark Lawrence returned to film this footage, but it's also hard to tell whether the actress in the scene is Toni Lawrence. I asked her myself, and she didn't remember going back and filming this footage. Jim Antonio definitely did return to film this scene, which gives the exorcism footage an interesting connection to the rest of the film. A very loose connection, mind you, but still a connection. Now, the film changed titles again in late '75 when it was retitled Blood Pen, and the ad campaign put the focus back on the pigs. Maybe because eco-horror films were continuing to gain popularity and the market had been saturated with devil movies, but it did still contain the exorcism scene. After these screenings as Bloodpen in late '75, you would think a movie that had already lived so many lives would be finished with its theatrical run, but you'd be wrong. April 1979, here it is with a brand new title, Roadside Torture Chamber. The title of this film was clearly meant to cash in on the slasher craze of the late 1970s and early 80s. It often played under this title as the second or third feature on drive-in movie programs, but sometimes it was the main attraction too. I don't know about you, but I love seeing all these fabulous titles together on one lineup. It's also not clear exactly which version of the movie played as Roadside Torture Chamber, because yes, by this point, there was another version of the film. Sometime after Bloodpen, the film changed hands again, and another distributor removed the exorcism footage and filmed additional scenes for the beginning and end of the film, depicting Lynn murdering her father and her subsequent escape from the asylum. This version was created around 1977 and was titled Daddy's Girl. I couldn't find any ads of Daddy's Girl screening anywhere. It's hard to search for a movie with that title and not come up with a bunch of porn. But around 1984, this version of the movie was acquired by a new distributor, Aquarius Releasing, and was reissued to theaters again. This little 1973 film that had lived so many lives was living another one as Daddy's Deadly Darling. It's really hard to find any ads for the movie screening under the title, other than this one I found that unfortunately doesn't feature any artwork. It's from Fort Myers, Florida, February 1986. Now, unfortunately, the version known as Daddy's Deadly Darling is the one that most people are familiar with, because that's the version that ended up on home video. In 1985, Paragon put it out on VHS. Yes, 1985. A year before it was theatrical again in Fort Myers, Florida. Florida, by the way, got this film more often than any other area, and there must have been a whole bunch of disgruntled people in that state that were just duped into seeing this movie over and over again. I would not have been annoyed by that at all. That's the version that ended up on home video, and it was duplicated for several bootleg DVD releases, and most strangely, Troma put it out in a special edition DVD, and it's really just the VHS version with the most graphic violence edited out, and the footage was looped to make up for the lost time. Very strange release indeed. The one you need to seek out is by Vinegar Syndrome, a Blu-ray that came out in 2016. It's just superlative in every sense of the word. It includes all of the footage, the exorcism footage, the Daddy's Girl footage, but it leaves the original cut of the film alone, which is the way Mark Lawrence intended. It's the best way to watch Pigs. If you want to know more about Pigs, you should definitely go to our Etsy shop, Groovy Doom, and pick up issue number 21 of Drive-In Asylum. I was really lucky to get in touch with Toni Lawrence and be able to conduct an interview with her. She was most gracious to talk to me about making this fantastic film. You can also purchase autographed 8x10 stills from Pigs via our Etsy shop as well, with an exclusive arrangement with Toni. This is the only place online where you can purchase autographed memorabilia from her at this time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Click like on the video to help it get seen by more folks who are interested in vintage newsprint ads. Also check out the Facebook page Groovy Doom, where I share at least 4 posts every day of vintage newsprint images related to your favorite fantastic films. I'm Bill from fanzine Drive-In Asylum. See you next time.